Welcome back to Chasing Fi. Today, we are going to talk about my author business. The reason I want to talk about this is because I know there are a lot of people out there who have business ideas, even a lot of people who want to write who have been putting it off or think that they just can't do it or they're not going to be successful at it or it just seems so daunting. And it is daunting to get started, but once you get going, it can be so rewarding. And starting your own business is a great way to, if nothing else, create another stream of income. Even if you continue to work your day job, it's always nice to have an additional stream coming in. So that's why I want to talk about this because I think a lot of people out there have businesses in them, business ideas that they could take further, but it's a daunting task to do so. And it's very risky. So obviously, I just stopped working my day job September of this year. So I did take a more cautious approach to it. I didn't want to leave my day job, even though it didn't pay very much. I didn't want to leave that steady paycheck because there's something, I don't know, I guess, comforting in knowing that you're going to get something every 2 weeks, in a check. But now that I've done it, I really wish I'd done it at the end of 2020. So here's my story about my author business. I've always wanted to be a writer. I went to school for English at university. I went to graduate school for English, and my goal was to get published. Back then, the narrative was that you needed to maybe get a master's in creative writing and then submit your book to a bunch of agents who would then shop it around to publishers, and eventually maybe you would get published. This is a lot harder for people who are maybe not writing stories that the mainstream is latching onto at the time, or if they are from certain religious groups or ethnic groups. Not as many people are just naturally attracted to those books. So publishers are like, we don't see a way forward with it. So your writing's good, but we already published all the people in your group that we're going to publish this year. And that is something that I heard at one point. I had a literary fiction novel that I shopped around to an agent, and she said, well, if you can change the race of the people in the book, then this book would probably sell. And I wasn't willing to do that. So eventually I just forgot about the agent route and I started looking into self-publishing. But because I was working a full-time job, I was missing key points about the self-publishing industry. It wasn't until I met my husband and he really just was encouraging. He was like, well, if you want to do that, just put the time in like you do for this teaching job that doesn't pay you much and is really stressful. So that's something that really helped me focus on making this a business. So in July 2019, I published my first book in my mystery series, Who She Was. And, like indie publishing is a lot different than traditional publishing. So I published that book and I was like, is it good? Is it okay? Do people like it? What should I do? And I had another book scheduled for that November, which was a really quick turnaround. But I had been working on these two books for years. So I figured, I can get it ready. And I did. But to be honest, I probably should have made sure that the first 2 or 3 books were nice and clean before I started publishing. But like I said, I was learning as I go. So I published the first book in July 2019. I got really favorable reviews after I had a deal. Like, this writer suggested putting your book free, your ebook free, so that people would try it, because you're a new author, nobody knows who you are. They don't know if they're going to like your work or not. They don't necessarily want to pay for it. So I did that and I ended up getting something like 40,000 downloads over a couple months, right? And that boosted up my reviews on Goodreads and Amazon and Kobo and Barnes & Noble and Apple and all that good stuff. So then people are like, okay, this is a good book. So I was averaging a 4.5 out of 5 stars review. And that meant that people were willing to buy my second book when it came out in November. But because there was such a lag time, some people, they had forgotten about me. So I was discouraged by that because I didn't see that that turnaround where most of the people that read the first book read the second one. And there's always going to be drop off, but this was kind of dramatic because I didn't have the book ready until the end of November. So once again, live and learn. Then I said, okay, I got to publish faster. So I was trying to publish faster, but I'm not a super fast writer when I have a day job that I have to deal with. So at that time, I ended up setting up a pre-order for my third book in April of 2020. And, things were crazy 2020, right? Pandemic, things were just like, whoa. I'm like, what is happening? Things like that. And I did not get that book finished. So I had to postpone it until the following August. And I think I published it September 2020. So I published the third book, and then I just got inspiration to all of a sudden write this fourth book, which is a Christmas book. I love holidays. So I write this Christmas book. It's short, but it just comes out in like 20 days. And so I get that book done, and then I'm like, okay, writers are talking about this thing called BookBub. I don't know what it is. So I start looking into it, and BookBub is basically a big newsletter that has subscribers around the world, and what they do is they send out links to free books or heavily discounted books to, their audience. And you pay a fee. I think my first BookBub cost me something like probably $600, and I was like, whoa, that's kind of steep. But I did it, and that actually put me into a place where I was making 4 figures a month. So I was super excited about that. And at that point, I should have quit my job, and I didn't. I was making 4 figures a month. It was really nice. But then as I'm making the money, I'm like, oh my gosh. So do I quit? Do I quit my job? Do I stay at my job? I decided to stay at my job. And that was a huge mistake because my job, even though I was working part-time at that point, they were constantly changing things and asking for more and more of my time and energy. And as an introvert, teaching, even online, really sucks my energy. So I was constantly going to all these trainings and trying to learn these new things and getting this feedback. We need more, we need live sessions, we need that. And it was very stressful, and I wasn't making much. When I quit, I was making $17 an hour, and that's a job that requires a master's degree. So, teaching at a college. So I should have left that job at the end of 2020. I should have started off 2021 free as a bird, but it didn't. Instead, I was like, I'll just work harder, continue with the day job, and then write on the side. No, the writing should have been at the forefront, and it wasn't. And that was a terrible mistake, but I'm making up for it now. So by the time that 2021 rolls around, we are working on paying off our mortgage, which was something that we wanted to do before I kind of left my day job, because obviously with writing, it was great that I was making 4 figures a month, but that could stop at any time. But the other thing that I was doing is I was not publishing fast enough. I published a book in February 2021, and I had books set up for June and then August. So I had all these pre-orders, right? And I thought I could push myself to make that happen, but I just could not. I don't write that fast. So I've learned the lesson that I put up pre-orders when the book is done. And then, so I got to stay ahead of the curve. Like, for example, right now, I am working on a second draft of the 8th book in my series, and it's up for pre-order because I know I have the full story there. I could technically send it to an editor. It would be rough, but I could publish it. But I'm holding it off until March because I want to really polish it. So over the span of the past, 3 years, I've learned a lot about indie publishing, and now I feel like I'm finally at a point where I can take this to the next level, where my goal is by June to be making 4 figures a month, every month, from my books. And while that may seem like a huge jump because, earlier this year, there was one point where I made like $50, I know I could do it now because I have the knowledge and the time. So let's go back to 2021. So 2021, I don't publish enough. I publish in February, and then I publish another book in August, and it's a struggle to get those 2 books out. I rush them out. I miss my deadlines, all that stuff. Then I get to the point where I'm just like burnt out, like between work and writing, I was burnt out. And that was when we started looking at buying rental properties at other places in the country. So that meant research, that meant setting up Zoom meetings for tours, all this stuff. So I started focusing on that. And in 2021, I just focused, well, in 2022, for the most part this year, I was focused on that. We finally got our rentals squared away in March of 2022. And now they're both rented. The ones in Ohio, I'm so excited. So now we have 3 rentals that are occupied. Super exciting. But I really went away from the writing. And as soon as I did that, I stopped publishing. I stopped putting my energy into it. By July, I think I made like 50, $60 that month. So I went from making like, around 3,000 a month to $50. And that's because I was not constantly publishing and I wasn't pushing the books. So, of course, that's a little discouraging. It's like, whoa, is this going to come back? Well, the answer is yes, it will come back, but you got to put the energy into it. Over the past few months, I've been working on building my Shopify store because there's a big shift where people are buying direct more. More authors are seeing that all of these platforms, no matter which ones you're using, they stifle you. They control you. You can't do what you want to do with your books because they have rules and they're competing with each other, which is natural. They're businesses. They want to make money. But the problem is that you are a business too. So they're actually your competition. So having the Shopify store has been wonderful because I keep 95% of my royalties. There's just a small fee for the delivery through Shopify, well, BookFunnel and Shopify. But for example, when I'm on Amazon, they take 30%. And if I want to drop my price really low, they will take like 75%. So this is something that I think a lot of authors are starting to realize. There's also the Kindle Unlimited program, which for authors is Kindle Select. They call it on our side. And what that does is it pays you by page reads. So basically, my book that is almost 300 pages long, if I have it in Kindle Unlimited, I make about $1.50 from it. It's priced at $3.99. But because the amount that Amazon pays for page reads is so low, that's what I would make if somebody read the entire book. So just think about that. Also, if you're in Kindle Unlimited, you can't have your ebook anywhere else. And I don't like that. I want to be able to sell my books where I want. I want to be able to do what I want with them. So Shopify has been my main focus, but also learning how to do Facebook ads for my books. That's been something that I focused on. And I just released the 7th book in my mystery series, and it did pretty well. And I can see that, I like how, I had a promotion on Friday when it was released, and I could see the sales, they'll trickle in over time because obviously it takes time to read a book. So if I pushed the first book in the series and I had a promotion that was free. So it's like, okay, you download the free book, and then the hope is that you're going to go through the series and buy the other 6 books, or at least some of them. And that works really well on Apple. I'd say Google, Google Play, it works pretty well. It does not work as well on Amazon because people are used to getting free books there. So I like that I have Shopify because I can send out deals to my newsletter subscribers and say, hey, here's a deal. Here's a coupon. You buy from me, you pay the lowest price. And that's how I get around that. Amazon will price match your book if they see it cheaper anywhere. And so what I do is I just send out coupons. Or I put it on my website, hey, use this coupon code, you get $1 off or $2 off or whatever. And that has been a really good strategy for me. People are now starting to become more comfortable with buying direct. And I'm really excited to see where this is going to go. Meanwhile, I am writing a lot because I don't have the day job. And without the day job, there's just a level of stress that is just gone. So I am able to write and stay in the story. The biggest problem I had when I had a day job was I would get into a story and I'm really into it, and then work would roll around And then work would be this weird trap where, all these things that unexpected things come out of the blue, and all of a sudden everything has changed. Whatever you were told yesterday doesn't apply anymore. We've got a new thing that you've got to do. And, just it was so annoying. So now I don't have that. And it means that when I'm writing a story, if I take time out of the story to cook dinner, go hang out with friends, make my grape juice or whatever. I just made a bunch of homemade grape juice, and we made grape popsicles too, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I can get back into the story when I'm done. The only time I can't get back into the story is when I have some type of job that I have to worry about, because jobs give me some anxiety. I am an introvert, and jobs tend to want you to put yourself out there a lot. And that would make me nervous, which would pull me out of the story and focused on how am I going to pull this off. I'll give you an example. At my old job, if I had to have a live Zoom meeting with students, I would get on the computer probably at least half an hour early, because I wanted to make sure that all the tech was good. I wanted to make sure that the camera was at the right angle, and I wanted to make sure, my makeup was good and my hair and everything. And it would become this whole ordeal. And then meanwhile, I'm sitting there waiting for somebody to come into the Zoom meeting, and I'm nervous about that too. I have a little script I always write out when I'm going to say, in a Zoom meeting, because I get nervous when I'm on the camera. So I have a script, and then I'm like, I can't stick to the script though, because there are questions and things like that. So it was one of those things that I had to de-stress after it was over. So I don't have that going on anymore. If I do something for my books, some type of live session or whatever, it's a little stressful too, but I feel more comfortable with that because I am talking about my books and what I'm doing. I don't have to stick to what some corporation wants me to say. So this has been really good for my business. At this point, I'm back up to the 3 figures a month. Woo, yay. But like I said, by summer, I plan on being 4 figures. And then by the end of the year, 2023, I plan on making 5 figures a month from my books. Crazy talk, right? I don't think so. I don't think so. I am going to make this happen. So this is great because this is one of the biggest components of our financial independence journey, my husband and I, because I want him to be able to leave his job in the next 3, at the most 4 years. And if I have a big book fortune going on, it'll be a lot easier for him to retire. So, and that's one of my biggest goals. I want him to have the free time that I have to be creative, because he's so creative. And, he's just, if he didn't have to go to work, this man would be building all types of contraptions and inventions and everything. And it'd be really great. And I want him to have that type of freedom. So that's one of my main goals. So that's what's going on with my author business. I'm super excited about it. And I think that if you have some type of business idea, something on the back burner you've been thinking about, I really think, if you can make small steps to give it a try, if nothing else, it's a small stream of income, which great. But in the best case scenario, it takes over and you get to leave the day job. So if that's something that you want, or even just to have the ability to live the day job. You don't have to ever do that, but it's nice to be able to have options. And when you're looking for financial independence, I think that that's really, really important, because without options, if something happens to that one stream of income that you have, your job, you're in trouble, right? So let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you have a business idea that you're thinking about trying? If so, let me know. I'd love to hear about it. As I've gotten away from, kind of that career-minded, I want to be teacher of the year, whatever kind of deal, I really have become interested in entrepreneurial endeavors. So let me know if you have something up your sleeve. All right, that's all for now. I'll see you in the next one.